Hello, everyone. Susan Gerbic from Psychics Explained. I thought we'd spend a few minutes going over the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children website. They have a feature on here that I want to show you about. Now, you should have this website if you're in the United States uh, on your phone, ready to go anytime anybody talks about psychic mediums who are supposedly able to communicate with the dead. You just pull that website up and you say, let's see who do you got on here and specific information, because if they're communicating with the dead should be able to tell them all kinds of specifics, who they are, where they are, whatever. So I'm sure the equivalent is in lots of other countries. I'm sure you have your own kind of website like this of missing children or let's identify children or missing cold cases. If not, we'll find a way of finding somebody for you, some kind of website where you can do this. Or maybe you should start that website. So let's look at this website. It is missingkids.org and then / the issues / help ID me. So what they're doing here is they have identified 635 children. These are unidentified children remains. How sad is that? These are children's remains they have, but they don't know who the children are. 635. And this is probably goes up and down depending on, how the cases are solved. It says they have assisted with more than 400 identifications of deceased children. Isn't that really sad? Can you imagine 635 children out there? That's 635 families at least who don't know what happened to their children. Maybe they have some parts of the family know exactly what was going on because they're responsible and they know where their child is and what happened to them. But that's pretty sad. 635 children. I'm sure that's a small proportion, but this is just what they're working with. It says the oldest unidentified child case helped resolve was from 1957. 1957. They had the remains since 1957, and it took that long to identify. So it says, what is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children doing about it? And it says they're providing fresh eyes and resources for cases. Right. Okay. And then they're raising awareness and leveraging the public. Yeah, we have social media, so it makes it a little more able for people to get their stories out there. As I'm doing right now, we're talking about this phenomena. There's a help ID me Facebook page, and there are other resources. So here's a overview of where they found these remains. You may hold the key to getting a child back his or her name. That's just so sad. Facial reconstructions and information. And you may be able to assist law enforcement. There's all kinds of information. I think a lot of this can be fixed if we could just use genetic genealogy better, but that is really expensive to genetic genealogy. I think it's upwards of $3,000 to $5,000 per case to do genetic genealogy on remains, and some places just do not have access to that kind of money for remains that are very, very old, that may not even be in their jurisdiction. In other words, the person was just passing by when they died and not like a resident of their area. The other problem is that if we don't have enough information in databases and people have opted in, which I have opted in, to be able to use the genetic genealogy to be able to look at the DNA to see where it goes, because it isn't you or it isn't your brother, your uncle. Even that is where they're trying to find the DNA. I mean, I guess, yeah, possibly. But what happens is it goes back far to great great grandparents and so on, and they find these great great grandparents in these trees, and they have commonalities across the way, and then that allows them to triangulate, because they say, okay, there's this person is somehow related, and this person is somehow related. let's put those two together. And that is what is common in this DNA family tree. And then they're able to branch down and they can get to a point where they can probably find within a few family members who it must be by just using genetic genealogy, plus, of course, records. Now, records on genealogy are hit and miss to some extent because we're not following the DNA when we're following records, but it can help you get down to who is the person who might have been living in that house at that time and at that residence or in that neighborhood and so on. So having more people opt in, get their DNA done on popular sites like Ancestry, uploading it to GEDmatch and some other places like that. That's important. And as well as getting these documents scanned and in places where people can be found. Because what is it that's missing? I mean, why would I be doing a video on this? What is it out of all of this that I'm suggesting, and this website is suggesting? What is missing in all of this? Something that could easily be a tool that would solve all of these cases in a heartbeat. Yeah, psychic mediums. Why are they not there? I did a search on the website for the word psychic, and there's no hit for the word psychic on this whole website of National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Why? Why wouldn't they be using every resource possible to find and identify these children? If you can communicate with the dead, then why are you not in your go down to wherever it is that we can look at these children? I'm sure there's a place of looking at these children. You might be able to find something in your area and say, his name is this. He was this amount of years old. He lived in this area. His parents were this name, and this is who he is, and this is what happened to him. And here's the person who murdered him, or they were a runaway and they died of exposure. They should be able to do all that. There shouldn't be 635 unidentified children remains. There should be 0. It just doesn't make sense. We have to hold the psychic mediums accountable until Tyler Henry and John Edward and Thomas John and all these people, Susan Northrop, how can they with a straight look at the camera and say, I'm a psychic medium, yet I'm not helping assist identify any of these children? They could do it privately. They don't have to be like telling everybody I've been helping everybody. But the number should, again, be 0. 635, you should knock that out in a year. No problem. It's silly. It is silly that we're having these conversations. First off, you get on a TV show or anything like that, any kind of public media where somebody is talking about psychic mediums and how they're real or whatever. Of course, I'm not getting on any shows that I know of lately. And you say, well, can you talk to the dead? Can you communicate with dead? And they'll say, yes, of course I can communicate with the dead. All right. Are you trying to help families? Are you trying to help people? Or is that your goal, is to help people, just to give them comfort, to resolve situations, to be able to give them some way of coming with closure, some kind of closure to your families? Well, of course I am. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Okay, you can communicate with the dead, you say, and you want to give closure to families. Then why aren't you going through these missing children websites and identifying remains or finding the children? And just wait and see what they say. That's my plan. Anyway, quick video. Just thought I'd point this out. You out there who obviously are watching my channel and are on the same page as I am, the ways of helping out have nothing to do with psychic mediums, obviously. Raising attention, raising the attention to these children's cases or any missing crime scene or any of that. That's healthy. Get your DNA done. Opt in for allowing the investigators to be able to look at your great grandparents' DNA, and they'll contact you and help get more information on the internet. I am not a privacy advocate to some extent because I don't believe we have real privacy anymore. The internet has made it impossible for privacy. I mean, individuals have privacy, but as a collective, I think that we have a responsibility to others. And I think within reason, we should be able to access these records. I belong to several genealogy groups on Facebook. We have one that every so often someone will come into the group and post and say, hey, I just got this really odd message from law enforcement. It says, I don't know, is this spam? What is this? And people will respond. They'll post the message and other people will respond and say, yeah, that's from the government, or that's from an agency. And what they're doing is they give you a case number and they say that we're looking at a case number and your DNA may be helpful to that. And we want to know if you'll assist if we need to. And like I said, usually it's greats, and great uncles and great cousins and stuff. It's far back, but they're not going to tell you what case they're working on. They're just, unless we get down to the very details of you're the child or you're the mom or something of that case, and then you would probably kind of know that there was something going on. But yeah, so they do approach people every so often. I probably see these posts maybe once a week. Somebody saying, hey, I got this really strange message from an agency that says they need my help in assisting, and I just want to know if it's spam or not. So double check, but it's probably not spam because they're out there. You can also donate to agencies, especially small agencies and small communities that have remains but do not have the money to budget for a remains that were found like in the 1960s, 1950s, 1970s, because it's obviously not an active case, but it's going to take a few $1,000s to go in and do genetic genealogy on this remain. The other thing you can do to help that would really be helpful is to encourage your children or yourself to go into the sciences, to learn to be to learn about DNA, to learn about how maybe to become a genetic genealogist. I'm not, but I sure wish I had another lifetime left of me where I could do something like that. That would be so interesting, solving mysteries and putting together well-reasoned explanations of things. I think that'd be fascinating. But encourage others to go into the fields of science if that is something that they could probably do. They have the mindset for that. Encourage them, help them out, buy them a coffee, help pay their tuition, but get more people into the sciences so that they can help solve crimes. I mean, that's a long time plan, but I mean, we've got a lot of time still that this is going to take a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of people to get these cases solved. It's not being done by psychics. If it would have been solved by psychics, we would have been done by now. We wouldn't even be talking about this right now. That'd be silly. So, okay. Hope everyone has a wonderful day, wonderful week. Please leave me comments underneath, like and share, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everyone.